If public debates are a fine Indian tradition, then Amartya Sen has been one of its greatest exponents. And it is not just welfare economics, for which Sen won the Nobel Prize in 1998, but a whole array of subjects ranging from mythology to mathematics, on which Sen has put forth compelling arguments. However, when it comes to Bangladesh, Sen's homeland, a country where he was born, it was of course not Bangladesh at that time, this was pre partition, but its own Bangladesh today, on which Sen's arguments seems to be horribly off the mark. Let's look at something that Sen said on secularism in one of his public speeches. This is what Sen said. This was last year at an event at the Alipur Jail Museum in Kolkata, where the 91-year-old polymath argued in favor of the concept of Juktosadhana, or the historical tradition of Hindus and Muslims living and working together harmoniously in India. And this is what he said. It is not merely like allowing the other community to live and not beat up anybody. Perhaps that has become a necessity in the present situation as people are being beaten up, but most crucial is to work together, Sen argued. Now, this is a fine argument, except Sen forgot to apply it for Bangladesh, about which he had said many times that Bangladesh's record, as far as secularism is concerned, is way better than that of India. Now, Sen, one would believe that has been engaged with Bangladesh because, since I said it was his homeland, and he has refugee blood in him. But when he says that secularism in Bangladesh has been better than secularism in India, he perhaps has not seen the history of violence that has been carried out in Bangladesh on the minority Hindu population for decades now. I spoke to Dr. Ayan Guha, who's an academic and somebody who's very interested in the subject, has researched on this subject and on migration. And Dr. Guha told me that waves of migration of minority Hindus in Bangladesh took place from the 1950s all the way to 1971 to present date, continued, and because of the targeted violence against the Hindu community. Now, Sen would obviously have seen records and records of Hindus migrating to India and the continuous spate of violence. You didn't have to wait till, if you were engaged with Bangladesh, you didn't have to wait till the fall of Sheikh Hasina in August last year to know how Hindus have been targeted through the decades in Bangladesh. I had an opportunity to speak to the current president of Bangladesh, Mohammad Sahabuddin Chuppu, last year. This was before he became the president. When I spoke to him, he was the president elect. And he said that in 2001, when the Bangladesh Nationalist Party and the Jamaat came to power in Bangladesh, such were the attacks on Hindus, which he came to know in 2006. He was part of a judicial inquiry committee that looked into those targeted attacks against Hindus. He said such were the attacks that there were many Hindu women who had lost their minds when he went to, as part of that committee, went to record their statements because of the gang rapes that happened. Now, even when Sheikh Hasina was in power in 2021, on the basis of a fake news that a copy of the Quran was placed on the feet of a statue of Lord Hanuman, there were riots across Bangladesh. This was as recently as 2021. Somebody like Sen, who has continued to engage with not just India or with Bangladesh, should have known of these incidents. Sen should have also read and engaged with a Dhaka University professor, Professor Abdul Barakat, who said that, and he said this in 2016, that at the current rate of migration, there will be no Hindus left in Bangladesh in the next 30 years. This is said in 2016. Now, Sen has recently said that he is concerned about what's happening in Bangladesh. So this was my first point, that if he had engaged more deeply with Bangladesh, he should have been concerned much before. He should have perhaps not said that secularism in Bangladesh is far better than that of India. But it is the second part of the sentence that is more problematic. He said that while the situation in Bangladesh concerns him, he has full faith in his friend, Professor Muhammad Yunus, to make the situation better. Now, ever since Dr. Muhammad Yunus came to power in Bangladesh after the fall of the Sheikh Hasina government, the attacks on Hindus in Bangladesh and other minorities have made global headlines. And when the news of the attacks stopped coming, because of a variety of reasons, perhaps the most important being that the Bangladeshi media was stopped to a large extent from reporting those attacks, there were this very disturbing news of the freeing of radical Islamists and the rise and spread of radical Islam in Bangladesh that directly goes against the very idea of secularism in Bangladesh. Not a day passes that you see news from Bangladesh of all kinds of radical Islamist groups being empowered in Bangladesh. They're taking out rallies in the capital city, Dhaka. They are controlling the narrative in Bangladesh. They're saying that the Hindus have no place in Bangladesh. They're saying that there should be Sharia law in Bangladesh. Even in Dhaka University campus, they're taking out ISIS banners. They're calling for Khilafat. Now, all these are happening under Dr. Yunus's watch. So when Sen says that he has full faith in Dr. Yunus in rectifying the situation in Bangladesh as it exists today, he should perhaps look more closely at what's happening in Bangladesh. Like I said, Sen has been one of the greatest exponents of public debates, but perhaps on the issue of secularism in Bangladesh and on the issue of keeping his faith on his friend Dr. Muhammad Yunus, he has gone off the mark.